Welcome to Nationwide on the network service of the NTA. I am Norlene Ebel Army. We begin the broadcast from the power sector, where the Nigerian Electricity Regulatory Commission has called for synergy between federal government and subnationals as the sector is evolving with reforms to decentralize the electricity market. This is coming as NERC granted approval to 12 states to regulate their electricity market. Joshua Ojito reports.
The Electricity Act 2023 empowers subnationals to regulate their electricity market in order to generate, transmit and distribute within their jurisdiction, which 12 states have so far been granted approval. However, the Nigerian Electricity Regulatory Commission says there is need for coordination to ensure seamless transition.
The industry at this material time and the need to navigate the ongoing reform of transferring the oversight to the state and ensure that we achieve the much expected growth in the industry. And we look forward for all the initiatives you will be bringing on board for improvement in the power sector.
As the acting chairman of the commission takes over responsibility of the regulatory agency, his eyes are on the industry players to deliver adequate electricity.
We know the problem they are facing, so this time is not going to be a business as usual. The distribution company, the generation company must do the right thing.
The Electricity Act 2023 mandates the Nigerian Electricity Regulatory Commission to maintain its central role of regulation of national and international electricity markets. Joshua Ojito, NTA News.
In other news, the Nigerian Civil Aviation Authority, NCAA, has formally requested the Attorney General of the Federation and the Inspector General of the Police to initiate a thorough investigation into an incident involving renowned Nigerian musician King Wasiu Omobolahon Olasunkanmi Adewale Ayinde Marshal, popularly known as K1 The Ultimate, and domestic airline Value Jet. The incident occurred on Tuesday, August 5, 2025, during a scheduled commercial flight. K1 The Ultimate allegedly violated Nigerian Civil Aviation Regulations, Nigeria CAS. NCAA calls for prosecution under Nigeria CAS 2023 and other relevant laws if found guilty. The Director General of Civil Aviation issues advisory to Airline Operators of Nigeria, AON, to consider temporary no-fly list for K1 The Ultimate, pending investigation conclusion. The agency reaffirmed its commitment to upholding safety, order and compliance across Nigeria's airspace, stating that all passengers, regardless of status, must adhere strictly to aviation regulations. The federal government is ramping non-kinetic strategies in its fight against violent extremism with focus on agriculture and livelihoods empowerment. Defense correspondent Ismail Musa was at the venue of the engagement involving foreign partners.
At this high-level donor and stakeholders meeting held at the National Counter-Terrorism Center in Abuja, government officials and development partners assessed progress on implementation of Memorandum of Understanding between the center and the International Institute of Tropical Agriculture
of Nigeria.
The National Counter-Terrorism Center reaffirmed the government's commitment to a whole-of-government and a whole-of-society approach in combating terrorism.
We recognize that sustainable peace and security cannot be achieved through kinetic response alone. Non-kinetic strategies, particularly those that empower individuals and restore livelihoods, are essential to building lasting peace and preventing the resurgence of extremist ideologies.
The Sahel Hub at the International Institute of Tropical Agriculture is of the view the Seeds of Hope project will serve as a catalyst for reconciliation and economic revival.
The NCTC IT Seed for Hope initiative that brought us today was born out of a shared recognition that peace is not merely the absence of conflict, but the presence of opportunity, dignity, sustainable livelihood. To support conflict-affected communities in rebuilding their lives with sustainable agriculture.
The program is a critical component of non-kinetic approach to tackling insecurity. In Abuja, Ismail Musa, NTA News.
Now, a survey conducted across the 36 states of the Federation on elite consensus tallied around development and challenges in Nigeria has been presented at a stakeholders validation workshop. The research is the handiwork of the National Institute for Legislative and Democratic Studies as a capacity-building institution for national growth. Muhammad Rabiu reports.
The National Institute for Legislative and Democratic Studies Elite Consensus Project commenced 2 years ago. At the presentation of the survey report, stakeholders appreciated Nigerians with the conviction that, working together by putting the country first, Nigeria will surmount current challenges and serve as a model to other countries.
We are of the belief that contributing to galvanizing elite consensus for sustainable national economic growth and socio-economic development in Nigeria through this project would be a significant contribution.
It has become essential to innovate ways of navigating this vicissitude by leveraging the country's intellectual resources to provide a way forward to Nigeria's many challenges.
And it is in the interest of the elite to ensure that there is some inclusion of virtually all segments of society. There are countries that have done that, and they have made progress.
As a follow-up, a national summit is to be convened that will bring various elites together to chart a course to meaningful development. In Abuja, Muhammad Rabiu Ali, NTA News.
And talking agriculture, Niger State government is taking a holistic approach to reform the livestock sector for a secured, modern and productive one. Consequently, a stakeholders consultative meeting was organized on the implementation of the State Trade Animal Movement Security and Veterinary Inspection Permit. Husseina Musa reports that the initiative also served as a forum for herders, meat processors, and relevant agencies to discuss challenges and suggest impactful solutions.
Livestock sector has remained untapped with numerous challenges hindering its progress. It is in view of this and to effectively reform the sector to meet global best practices that the Governor Bago-led administration has continued to introduce policies, with the recent being the State Trade Animal Movement Security and Veterinary Inspection Permit. These measures are expected to secure the trade corridors, track animal health status, and strengthen veterinary compliance across markets, farms, and even borders. Governor Muhammad Umar Bago noted that the policies, if implemented, will enhance socio-economic growth of the livestock value chain.
We have told our veterinary doctors and hospitals to deploy their staff to all the markets where livestock are sold. All livestock that will come to Niger State must be vaccinated and immunized, and also will be tagged so that we can have traceability. So we're going to put control posts all entries into Niger State to see any livestock coming from anywhere must come with a way bill, and we'll have a delivery note to where it's supposed to be delivered.
Now that we have grazing reserve and grasses will be given to us to plant, and he even give assurance in every local government in the state. Niger State alone is equivalent to 5 states in eastern Nigeria. So if we can get a huge land like this and our business starts moving on, I think even in Niger State alone, we will be able to supply Saudi as they wanted Nigeria to supply them with meat.
The stakeholders in the sector were also brought to speed with the progress reports on the foreign direct investment with the Brazilian Livestock Consortium. In Mena, Husseina Musa, NTA News.
President Bola Ahmed Tinubu felicitates the governor of Kebbi State, Dr. Mohammed Nasir Idris, on his 60th birthday. President Tinubu acknowledges Governor Idris's purposeful leadership, vision, and tireless efforts in driving socio-economic transformation in Kebbi State while fostering peace, unity, and progress among the people. He also notes the governor's distinguished career in labor leadership, particularly his contributions to the growth of the education sector and advocacy for workers' welfare. In a press statement by the Special Advisor to the President on Information and Strategy, Bayo Onanuga, the President urged the Minister to sustain the delivery of good governance and to keep serving the people of Kebbi State and Nigeria with passion and integrity. We shall now be taking you to our Lagos studio where Awal Yusuf Jibo is standing by to give us more news on Nationwide. Hello, Awal.
To the center of excellence. In the era of climate change, where weather events are sometimes extreme, the way cities and communities are planned can significantly affect their flood risk levels. Neighborhoods without adequate infrastructure will suffer devastation. The report. Factors such as climate change, inadequate infrastructure, and rapid urbanization often aggravate the flood risk, a situation particularly where there is a disconnect between urban planning and flood preparedness. The situation is worse in neighborhoods where drainage channels are almost non-existent and hardly linked to each other for appropriate flow of flood waters. Okookpe in Ijede area of Lagos is an example, and residents have had ugly experiences.
We've been having rains and water has been flowing, and people are trying to, from their own end, if I do mine, you do yours. In fact, everything will, synergize.
If there's ecological fund that could appease the people who have lost so many things here, some houses, some properties are lost. You cannot be quantified for now.
Construction of buildings and neighborhoods springing up daily in floodplains and wetlands also erode natural flood protection mechanisms and increase flood risk.
The way my own community is designed, we have something like hill and valley. And the valley area of my community is the most hit because water comes from the upper part and even at the other upper end. That valley spot, even if all of us at the upper part of the community should dig drainage, is that we are causing more problem for them at the lower part.
Experts say addressing the challenge requires a comprehensive and multifaceted approach that captures sustainable drainage systems, resilient urban designs, and proactive urban planning, particularly before neighborhoods are created. And now to efforts to ease pressure on Forex through implementation of tax rebates by the federal government for manufacturing companies that use local raw materials in their production process will create job opportunities and achieve the much-needed value addition. Joel Popola reports that industry experts believe this move will achieve a major economic leap.
A bulk of the raw materials manufacturers in Nigeria use for their production is imported, leading to job transfer. While no fewer than 32 raw materials in Nigeria are in commercial quantity, experts say the nation is not maximizing the full potential of these resources due to its exploitation in raw form without value addition. This Raw Material Research and Development Council is changing, with a bill to that effect now at advanced stage in the National Assembly. Innovation, Science and Technology, which Naji believes is a smart move.
Any product that is produced in this country at commercial level, importation will be banned. And we have insisted that for any product to be exported, there must be 30% beneficiation, value addition.
Director General Raw Materials Research and Development Council says the prospect of the raw materials sector is becoming brighter with value addition in sight.
Nigeria's industrialization is supposed to hinge on 80% utilization of local resources. The Raw Materials Research and Development Council now has the full mandate to implement the guidelines for rebates, for tax incentives to manufacturers that utilize local raw materials in their production processes.
Establishment of industrial clusters that will connect industries with raw materials and investment in cutting-edge technology to reduce cost of production, stakeholders agreed is important. In Lagos, Joel Bukbuola, NTA News.
Those are the reports from Lagos. Nationwide continues with Mary in Jos after the break. Don't go away.
Welcome back to Abuja on Nationwide. We shall join Mary Domtur in our Jos Network Center later, but now we shall be linking up with Susan in Asaba, where she will be talking to us on the recent devastation caused by flooding in Asaba. Susan, are you online? Okay, I'm told she's not online. Okay, let's go to Jos and link up with Mary Domtur for more on Nationwide. Go ahead.
Welcome to Jos. Provost Federal College of Medical Laboratory Technology, Jos, Professor Sunday Etukudo, is appealing for increase in budgeting allocation to the institution for the provision of infrastructure for the completion of academic staff offices. He made the plea in Jos during a combined orientation of medical laboratory technicians and matriculation of newly admitted students of the institution. Ijama Ozemena has more.
Professor Etukudo explains that there is need to reposition the health sector, which the college falls under, noting that medical laboratory scientists are prone to health hazards. He says management of the college is committed to the training of human resource, calling for the expansion of its budget for the provision of infrastructure, especially the completion of academic staff offices. Professor Etukudo commended President Tinubu for his developmental and courageous efforts, urging him to sustain it to deepen democracy. The provost calls on Nigerians to sustain support for President Tinubu to accomplish his political objectives.
That the school is positioned to train human resource, we will not be bothering ourselves with Japa syndrome. What is needed is to develop a culture in which people are well remunerated, and the only way forward is a single salary structure for all health professionals.
The task of producing versatile and competent middle-level manpower is crucial for the continued growth and sustenance of the healthcare system in Nigeria.
The best graduating student was honored with automatic employment and direct entry admission into the University of Jos.
Very, very happy to be the best graduate student because remember the night where I have to burn candles to bring the goods.
The combined orientation of the medical scientists and matriculation of students had 54 graduating students and 114 new students for the 2024-2025 session in Jos. Ijoma Ozemena, NTA News.
Plateau State government says it will continue to strengthen the education sector by adopting technology-driven systems in the recruitment of qualified teachers for public primary schools in the state. Commissioner for Education, Kashalom Gang, stated this while monitoring online examinations of registered applicants for the recruitment of teaching staff across the 17 local government areas of the state. Ndayang and Yebagang has details.
The Hope Edu Initiative program is launched by Plateau State government in collaboration with the World Bank to rebuilding systems, retaining personnel, and recruiting qualified hands for better service delivery in public schools across the state.
The process of this CBT exams as regards to the PILPA initiative is a welcome development and smooth, transparent.
It was successful. It was nice.
Online exams was successful by myself.
The Commissioner for Education, Kachalom Gang, and the Executive Chairman, Plateau State Universal Basic Education Board, SUBEB, Sunday Amuna, led the monitoring team to the examination centers in Jos South and Barikin Ladi local government areas. They emphasized that the initiative aligns with Governor Caleb Mutfwan's vision of repositioning the education sector through transparent and merit-based recruitment.
Today we can vouch for the integrity of the exercise because everybody is sitting, writing his own exam, and immediately you finish, you go. Other people will go in and write their own exam. We introduce identification so that we see you and we are sure you are the one writing the exam.
The way to go is digitization. And so we have keyed into it, and in fact, we are not looking back. We are rather upscaling it and ensuring that every teacher becomes digitally compliant.
The state government insists that only qualified candidates will be recruited as a way of upholding standards and improving the quality of education in the state. In Jos, Indenyan and Abuja, NTA News.
And that's our contribution from Jos. Nationwide continues in Abuja with Nolin.
Very well, Mary. Thank you so much. And from Jos, we shall take you to Asaba now, where Susan is ready for us to talk to us, of course, on the recent devastation caused by flooding in Delta State. Susan, it's over to you.
Good afternoon, and thank you for joining us here in Asaba, the Delta State capital. Now, early this year, the Nigerian Meteorological Agency had predicted that there will be heavy rainfall in some parts of the country, and some states and communities were specifically mentioned, and Delta State also was included. Just as the rain begins to intensify, it is no longer news. What the NIMET predicted is no longer news. What is news today is the fact that some communities are already suffering the impact of heavy rainfall in Delta State. On Sunday, to be precise, there was a heavy rainfall. It started steadily as mere rain, but it escalated into destructive flood that affected some communities like Ugbolu community. Of course, a life was lost in Ugbolu community. Unfortunately, we cannot get to that area today because of the heavy rainfall again that is we are experiencing here. And you can see I'm using the umbrella. That is because of the impact of this rain. And so Asaba residents and farmers are already feeling the impact of the rainfall as predicted by NIMET. There's a particular fish farm here in Delta State, Cam 74 Fish Farm. It started as a demonstration pond. It later escalated or expanded to a fish farm where so many farmers have their fish ponds there. The unfortunate incident is that on Sunday, due to the heavy downpour, thousands of fishes were lost, and farmers in that fish farm recorded losses in millions of naira. That is because of the impact of the flood that was predicted by NIMET. We actually went there. Unfortunately, you cannot watch the reports. We went to that place on Tuesday to assess the impact of the flood. It was a very pitiable and pathetic situation. One of the farmers fainted as a result of that rainfall and the impact of that flood. And some of them said they have lost up to over 30 million naira as a result of that. And before you came to me, a director from the Ministry of Environment was here to talk to us about what the state government is doing to mitigate the effect of flooding in Delta State, and what the state government is also doing to ameliorate the losses suffered by these farmers. What the director said is that the Ministry of Environment is working assiduously to ensure that some efforts, some mechanisms are put in place to stop the impact of flood in most of the flash flood communities in Delta State. And the state government is not also resting in it, as the state government last year paid a 1 billion counterpart fund to tackle the menace of flood in Delta State. And so we believe that all the efforts put together by the state government will yield result so that next year the people of Delta State will not suffer what they have suffered this year. The losses are massive, and we pray God will help them to recover all that they have lost.
Amen, Susan. It's quite huge, the losses, of course. It's so sad to hear that. But one more question. have they been relocated, those that are affected, to maybe a safer ground? All right, Susan, if you can hear me, I am asking if those that are affected by this devastating flood have been relocated to a safer terrain.
They have not been relocated. The state government is doing something. Like in some communities, like our community in Dokwa East, there is an IDP camp created for those affected by flood. Some of them not in Asaba Delta State here, but in other local government areas, those whose communities or homes are prone to flood have been relocated to IDP camps. But for these farmers, like I said earlier, the state government is actually working towards giving them a bailout.
All right, thank you very much for your contribution, Susan, from Asaba Delta State. All right, let's shift our attention to education now, where the West African Examinations Council, WAEC, says it has discovered technical issues during the internal review of the recently released results of the 2025 West African Senior School Certificate Examination, WASC, for school candidates. To curb examination malpractices, the Council has introduced an innovation known as paper serialization, a method already in use by another national examination body and aligned with international best practices in assessment. This serialization was applied in mathematics, English language, biology, and economics. Following the release of results, an internal post-release review revealed some technical glitches affecting the affected subjects. Consequently, access to the 2025 WASC results has been temporarily suspended on the results checkup portal. WAEC offers apologies to all affected candidates and the public for any inconvenience caused. The Council assures that the matter is being handled with transparency and urgency, with the resolution expected within the next 24 hours. Candidates who have already checked their results are advised to recheck after this period. The Council says it remains steadfast in its mission to uphold excellence, fairness, and transparency in all assessments. Representatives from various ministries have gathered for a crucial interministerial committee meeting to prepare for the pivotal United Nations Climate Change Conference, COP30. With the urgency of climate change action, this meeting is a key step in shaping the nation's framework conversations on tackling climate change. Sheikh Muhammad Datti reports.
Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change is an aim at addressing climate change and its impacts through the reduction of greenhouse gas emissions. Nigeria's concerns necessitated an interministerial committee meeting to focus on addressing the country's climate change commitments and challenges.
The success of our participation at COP30 rests on our ability to speak with one voice, unified and coordinated. It requires us to bring our diverse expertise and resources to the table. We'll review our progress, identify our strengths, and address our gaps to ensure we are all fully prepared to the task ahead.
This year, COP30, we are ready. My mantra, as I've told my staff, is we must be known as an efficient, high-performing, and the legacy we leave behind must be the right one to take us to where we want to go to.
Nigeria's carbon footprint is a growing concern, considering the country's goal to achieve net zero emissions by 2060.
Globally, looking within, looking inward, it's time for all of us to come together and to be able to get the momentum that we need for Nigeria.
The preparatory meeting is convened to address Nigeria's readiness for the conference, laying the groundwork to ensure that Nigeria's voice is not only heard but also impactful on the global stage. In Abuja, Sheikh Muhammad Datti, NTA News.
In other news, breaking barriers and shattering glass ceilings is a slogan that will keep resonating in the nooks and crannies of Africa until women attain their desired 35% affirmative action. This is the agreement reached by the Community Women in African Summit during a town hall meeting preceding the 2025 Rwanda Summit, scheduled has details.
Empowering women isn't just about numbers. It's about harnessing the wealth of experiences, knowledge, compassion, and skills that can transform societies and proffer innovative solutions to evolving challenges. This town hall meeting is therefore a testament to the power of collaboration and the need to push the conversation forward.
We must take personal ownership of our collective power to change the narrative as women, as we work with other women advocates.
Recognize the power of representation. When women occupy leadership roles, they not only serve as role models, but they also challenge preconceived notions about gender and leadership.
When you exclude women, you don't have peace, you don't have development, you don't have economic growth.
Women are true change agents when it comes to leadership.
The voices of the he for she advocates play a crucial role in driving such conversations on gender empowerment.
Nobody should see women inclusion as a favor. It's actually a must.
Let us work together to foster an environment where women leadership is not just accepted, but celebrated and actively encouraged.
The women decide for themselves that
this movement is gaining momentum towards a more inclusive and equitable future.
Amplify and engage.
Momso Damien Dati, NTA News.
Talking health as the global community commemorates the 2025 World Breastfeeding Week, wife of Niger State's Governor Fatima Umar Bago has encouraged the prioritization of exclusive breastfeeding by rewarding the best nursing mothers. Mercy Fabeyi reports that this is coming as the wife of the governor winded down this year's breastfeeding week with the theme, Prioritize Breastfeeding, Create Sustainable Support Systems.
The Breastfeeding Week remains a significant initiative within the primary healthcare sector, creating avenues for government and partners to educate citizens, especially women and caregivers, on the life-saving importance of breastfeeding. Exclusive breastfeeding for the first 6 months of life, alongside complementary feeding up to 2 more years and beyond, experts say provides unmatched benefits for babies and protects them against infections, allergies, and diseases. For mothers, it reduces the risks of breast and ovarian cancers, aids post-delivery recovery, and promotes emotional well-being. However, despite this well-known benefit, many mothers still face significant barriers from lack of information and societal pressure to an unsupportive work environment.
Through the Office of the First Lady, I will continue to champion initiatives that promote mother and child health, advocate for policies that enable breastfeeding, and support programs that create safe and inclusive spaces for nursing mothers.
Exclusive breastfeeding is highly recommended, so I followed the procedures. I breastfed my baby for 6 months exclusively.
Exclusive breastfeeding is cheaper, is safer, and is more hygienic.
Highlight of the occasion was the presentation of gifts to some nursing mothers who won the Best Breastfeeding Women Award. In Mina, Mercy Fabi, NTA News.
Now, as part of efforts to promote menstrual health and sustainable hygiene practices, 2 non-governmental organizations, Connected Development and Human X Dream Homes, have commenced the distribution of about 6,000 reusable sanitary pads to women and girls in rural communities, beginning with the suburbs of the Federal Capital Territory. Dennis Temple had a conversation with key drivers of the project and now reports.
In rural communities and even urban centers, menstruation is often shrouded in silence and stigma. The problem is compounded for millions of adolescent girls and women who are unable to afford sanitary pads to maintain proper hygiene during a period of monthly flow. But that narrative is beginning to change with hygiene campaigns and support like this. Connected Development Code, in partnership with Human X-Dream Homes, is providing more than just reusable sanitary pads. They are also creating safe spaces where girls and women can learn, share experiences, and feel supported.
When we speak to these women in the underserved communities, you hear things like, "Oh, some people came, they gave us disposable pads." You know, that's what a lot of us use. And then some people will tell you how they wash after a period and use it for the next cycle until it becomes threadbare. Nobody deserves that. That in itself can cause disease.
The reusable pads, they emphasize, are not only affordable, but also eco-friendly, aligning with broader sustainability goals. The partners are calling on government bodies, private sector players, and other stakeholders to lend more support in scaling up the initiative.
We've also been able to gather information from these women to see how effective it's been. And it lasts for a longer period of time. Over the years, it's lasting for them. And we also train them on how to make it themselves, both with hand needles and normal machine.
I believe it's a national emergency. This is a public health emergency. This is about dignity, and this is about human rights. And ensuring that people can live their life with dignity, even if they're in communities.
Beyond being environmentally friendly, the initiative is also expected to promote waste reduction, encourage recycling, and empower girls and women to access safe hygiene products and menstrual health education. In Abuja, Dennis Temple, NTA News.
From Abuja, we will be taking you to Ibadan, where Kehinde Omolosho is at the International Conference Center, University of Ibadan, venue of the reception in honor of the late 43rd Olubadan of Ibadan. Kehinde, can you brief us on what is happening there right now?
We are at the International Conference Center of the University of Ibadan, where the reception in honor of the late Olubadan of Ibadan is being held. The late Olubadan of Ibadan has been described as a man of faith, custodian of culture, who served his country diligently and ruled Ibadan peacefully with distinction and legacies. During the burial service, the Most Reverend Williams Aladekugbe charged the Deacon of St. Peter's Aremo, charged residents, citizens of Ibadan, to emulate the virtues of the late Olubadan of Ibadan. And they also prayed for the repose of the soul of the late Olubadan of Ibadan.
Okay, are there a lineup of activities?
At the venue now, the drummers are there.
All right, can you acquaint us
the
with
drums
the
and
activities
the
lined up
is
for...
going on.
Oh, very well. Can you acquaint us with the activities lined up for the event? Kehinde, if you can hear me, I said, can you tell us the activities lined up for this event, the memorial? As he can, it appears Kehinde cannot hear me at this point. All right, from here we shall be taking you to Enugu Network Center, where Chika Courier is standing by with more reports. Hello, Chika. You're on.
And from the East Zone, we are beginning from Enugu State, where the Enugu State government flagged off a sustained food distribution program to address food insecurity, promote inclusive well-being and proper nutrition in vulnerable homes in the state. Chika Ugu reports that the food items were distributed to about 500 vulnerable people in the first phase of the program.
insecurity remains one of the top challenges across the globe, with over 735 million people in 2023 facing hunger, according to the United Nations. In Nigeria, the reality hits closer home. In response to these pressing challenges, the state government initiated the Sustainable Food Distribution Program in alignment with the Sustainable Development Goal 2. The governor represented noted that the state government is also investing hugely in agriculture to address food insecurity.
This administration is fully invested in the success and scalability of this program. Therefore, this flag off is only the beginning. We will continue to expand this program by enrolling more beneficiaries.
The food items equitably distributed to 500 vulnerable households, mostly in the rural areas, will be a continuous process for 12 months.
The Sustainable Food Distribution Program is built on three major pillars. One is that it is targeted to support vulnerable households. And secondly, community participation and transparency.
Awards were presented to supporters and partners of the program in recognition of their contribution to the advancement of the Sustainable Development Goals.
I thank the government for helping us for the development of Enugu State.
Other speakers at the program believe that the fight against hunger is a collective commitment and partnership to expand the project in Enugu. Chika Ubu, NTA News.
The federal government agency, Nigeria's Social Insurance Trust Fund, has reaffirmed its commitment to providing social security and insurance to Nigerian employees through its employee compensation scheme and promoting operational safety. Managing Director of the agency, Oluwaseun Faleye, made the commitment during an engagement with stakeholders in Enugu. Chimaroke Ugu's report is presented.
Without adequate social protection, workplace injuries and illnesses can have devastating consequences, including loss of income, medical expenses, and even death. The federal government agency, Nigeria Social Insurance Trust Fund, NSITF, plays a pivotal role in ensuring the well-being of Nigerian workers, providing safety nets in the event of work-related injury or illness by ensuring victims receive the necessary support and care. With Mission Possible, securing Nigeria's workforce through comprehensive social protection as the theme, the stakeholders' engagement aims to promote workplace safety and strengthen employers' compliance with the Employees' Compensation Scheme.
Our role in contributing to a resilient economy is by providing social protection for the workers.
We assist NISTF in any way we can at the National Assembly.
Enugu State Governor represented maintained that the theme of the engagement resonates with the blueprint of the state government's commitment to workers' welfare and social protection.
The governor has been committed to demonstrating that without workers, you cannot achieve anything.
Stakeholders at the engagement recognized the commitment of the agency in providing an open and fair system of guaranteed and adequate compensation to government employees or their dependents for death, injury, disease, or disability arising in the course of discharging their official duties. With its employees' compensation scheme and workplace safety initiatives, NSITF is making Mission Possible a reality.
That's all we have from you in Enugu, and over to Abuja for the continuation of Nationwide.
Thank you very much, Chika Okorie. You are still on to Nationwide. Let's pause for our second break on the bulletin. Stay with us. Thank you for being there. Now, in growing societies like Nigeria, people who sometimes feel aggrieved by what they perceive as a slow pace of justice take the laws into their hands with unpleasant consequences. Analysts believe that extrajudicial killings and other crimes could be eradicated when justice dispensation is community-centered. Olabode Arewa reports.
Some years ago, news filtered into the public space about the lynching of some youths in Alu, Rivers State, on some accusations. They never underwent the due process of law. Eradicating such cases and other incidents that are caused by public distrust of the structured judicial system led to the Justice System Satisfaction Survey undertaken by several justice sector partners.
It helps us as an entry point to interrogate how just, how fair, how reasonable, how kind our society is. Because it is when you enter the justice system that you will know property rights of a widow, for example.
Two social activists, Zainab Malik and Ijoman Wafo, believe that justice should be community-centered.
We must increase access to justice. So these things we think are minor injustice issues can be resolved. It causes frustrations in societies.
These people are not asking for miracles. They're just asking for fast, effective, and affordable resolutions to their problems.
In Nigeria, Imo State, Ogun State, and Kaduna State have already set systems in motion to achieve the community-centered justice model, with expectations that most states will key in going forward. In Abuja, Olabode Arewa, NTA News.
We shall now be taking you to our Kaduna studio where Muhammad Umar Ajingi is standing by with more. Hello, Muhammad.
And thank you for joining us here in Kaduna. Bayero University Kano has hosted inter-universities Quranic recitation competition to enhance the memorization of Holy Quran among students of tertiary institutions. Yohannes Hassan Baro reports that a student from the Department of Arabic and Islamic Studies, Abdul Samad Bello, emerged the overall winner of the competition.
الذين آمنوا وعملوا الصالحات يهديهم ربهم بإيمانهم.
In a display of devotion and scholarship, young voices from across Nigeria gathered under one roof, not for debate or protest, but for a soulful raise, the Quranic recitation competition hosted by the Center for Quranic Studies. With participants from across the Nigerian universities, the event was more than a contest. It was a gathering of hearts connected by faith and knowledge.
I'm really happy. So alhamdulillah, I'm feeling okay, I'm feeling happy.
Unlike many competitions, both male and female disciples were not just welcomed, they were celebrated, reminding them of the need for divine knowledge. Indeed, the competition emphasizes the harmony between Western and Islamic studies, a combination the organizers believe is vital for nation building.
We have established this institution of Musabaka among the universities. So it will, as I said, that it will continue rotating between among the universities, which inshallah will be in the next time in Yobe.
Just participation, inviting youth to come here is more than enough to instill in them that Quran is supreme.
The journey, however, is not over. With arrangements nearing completion, the next stage of this spiritual and intellectual exercise will move to Yobe State.
And that's our contribution from this end. Nationwide continues with Nolin in Abuja. Nolin, over to you in Abuja.
Thank you very much, Muhammad. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has approved a series of measures aimed at enhancing the welfare of the defined benefit scheme pension. Executive Secretary of PITAT, Tolulokbe Odunayo, made an earlier submission to the presidency requesting his consideration for an emergency budgetary allocation to implement key pension reforms and welfare benefits. Some of them are implementation of new pension rates, pension harmonization for all DBS pensioner. A statement from Olubenga Ajayi, Head of Corporate Communication Unit, says the approval is in line with the renewed hope agenda, focusing on equity, social justice, and the dignity of our pensioners. Reports just reaching us says as former First Lady Aisha Buhari undergoes Idda, a mandatory waiting period of mourning in Islam, she has continued to draw strength and support from Nigerian women. This show of solidarity again played out when Nigeria's First Lady, Oluremi Tinubu, led XYZ to the Kaduna residence of late former President Muhammadu Buhari to show support. State House correspondent Adeni Tayo reports. All right, this concludes Nationwide Today. Thank you so much for watching. I am Nolin Ebel Ame. Bye for now.